Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Welcome to my Facebook Live. Thank you for tuning in. Today is Tuesday. It's the 30th of August. We're almost at the end of August, which is a little bit scary. Not too much happening. Beginning of the week, kind of slow to start out. Our weather, a little funky. We're supposed to have rain for like the next 10 days. But I feel like even today it's kind of going around us in different directions, but not really hitting us, which was good. I did hear some thunder about an hour ago and I thought, uh-oh, what's going to happen? You know, it's possible we could lose power during the live, but right now there's nothing going on outside, so that's good. All right, I hope everybody's having a good week so far. I'm excited about the live tonight. I have lots of fun things to show you and tell you about. There's some things ending tomorrow, the last day of the month. So I want to briefly go over that stuff and then make some really fun cards. We're going to do some cards with the Lighthouse bundle today. I can't let go of summer. I love summer too much. Got to keep going with some summer stuff. I feel like there's going to be plenty of time for fall, plenty of time for all the things that are coming up, Halloween, Christmas. So I'm not quite ready to jump into that stuff yet. So we're going to do a little bit more summer. Okay. Just waiting to see if I come up on Facebook. It looks like I'm there. So I think we'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera down and we'll just get started on our projects for tonight. All right, give me a second to get my camera. I think that looks pretty good in line. I had to get a new camera stand from last week. It was all loosey-goosey and wasn't holding the camera, so I got a new one, and now it's a little bit stiff, but that's okay. I think it's going to work. Let me just make sure I'm low enough. I think so. Okay, so I just want to start off by reminding everybody that I have my Hues of Happiness card class kit, and tomorrow is the last day to order that. This is going to be live on September 20th, and if you'd like to go ahead and order the kit ahead of time, it's a great kit. Let me show you some of the projects that are in it. I'll be sending you all the things necessary to make the projects, all the pre-cut card stock. So we'll be making several different cards with this beautiful Hues of Happiness paper. There's a birthday card. This one says you are wonderful in every way. We use a really pretty embossing folder on that one. I've got sending many thanks for all you do. Really pretty, pretty cards. The paper, this is just the DSP, the designer series paper, and it's just cut with the dies. Easy to cut out the flowers, no coloring, nice class. I also have this gift bag that we're going to make in the class. So in addition to all the things to make the project, you also will receive $15 in Stampin' Up product. And you'll receive a project sheet, the link to the video tutorial, and the price includes shipping and tax. So the price of the kit is $38, and that includes $8 for shipping. So it's like $30 plus $8 shipping. If you would like to order this, just email me at sunshineandsparklestamping@gmail.com, and you can ask me any questions. I can explain things to you. I will send you an invoice from Square, and that allows you to pay securely with a credit card if you would like to pay that way. So anyway, contact me if you're interested. This is going to be a really fun class, and I'm excited to be offering it. So celebration ends tomorrow, the 31st. So that's this earning free things from the catalog, things in the catalog that were free with $50 or $100 purchase. In addition, they had added these other products that are also available with a $50 or $100 purchase. Tonight we're going to use the craft gift boxes again that I got for free with my $50 purchase. So that's one of the things we'll be using in the kit. The Lighthouse bundle is in the annual catalog. It's on page 100, and just to kind of give you a little look at this, we're going to be using the stamps and the dies. There's a couple of the samples that they've done in the catalog. Ours are a little bit different. So this is a really fun set. I'm excited to do it. Here's the cards we're going to make tonight. We have the Sending You Love and Light card. Your light shines brighter than you know. Don't you love these sentiments? I think they're really nice. So much thanks, a very nice thank you card. And then I've got that craft box that I'm talking about. We're just going to decorate a craft box for a gift for somebody. All right, so let's get started on our projects. Okay, so let me show you up close. This is the Lighthouse Point stamp set. This is the bundle that includes the dies, and you can see these. We're going to do a lot of die cutting tonight. These are the Lighthouse dies, and I've got a couple more that I set aside because we're actually going to cut those live on the live. So really nice set. Lots of fun things in this set. In addition, for this first card, I'm going to bring out this oceanfront stamp set, and I've worked with this before. It's a really pretty, it doesn't look like much to look at, but you've got sky, water, sand, and some little things to go with it. So we're going to incorporate this into our cards tonight. Okay, so here's our pieces for our first card. Now I've pre-die cut a lot of the pieces already. Let me make sure I get everything out of here. Some of the pieces are really little. And I need that one. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with our basic card base that we kind of always start with, right? And that's in Night of Navy, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So that's just our half sheet of cardstock ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is start decorating the next layer of our card, and this is going to be the front of our card, right? So we're going to do a couple special things to this. And let me get out a little piece of scrap paper to go underneath. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some blending to make this cloud background. And I hope you can see up close what these clouds look like. And this is a really fun technique, and I think it looks really pretty. So what I did is I took one of our die sets. This is the Basic Borders dies. And I used this die right here, which kind of looks like clouds, right? So I just used it to cut out on a piece of cardstock. And you can see this is the one I used for the blending when I made the card originally, right? So I just cut that out with my die set, and we're going to use this as our stencil. So I'm going to take our Balmy Blue stamp pad, and I'm going to take one of our blending brushes, and we're just going to lightly blend a little bit of a background. I'm going to brush off a little bit to start with so I don't get any big lumps of color on there. And then I'm going to start at the top and start working my way down. So I'm just going to position this here and just lightly kind of go over with my blending brush. And then I'm going to move it down. You can kind of see how it lightly outlines the clouds. And then I'm going to move this over because I don't want it to be the same all the way going down. So let me move this over a little bit, add a little bit more ink, and we're going to add another layer. And I'm just going to keep doing that as I go down, adding layers. Some of them are going to be darker and lighter than others, and I'm just going to keep moving my stencil down. And you can see what a pretty effect this has, right? And I'm going to go down just to where I think a water line might be. So a little bit further down. And I think that's pretty good. I think that leaves us enough room for our water. Let me show you up front how that kind of came out with the clouds. I think that looks really pretty. Okay, so next we're going to use that stamp set that I was talking about, the oceanfront. And we're going to do our water next. Now you can use any, Stampin' Up! Has a variety of blues and greens. I like Coastal Cabana. For some reason, I just love the aqua color that you sometimes see in the water. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to take this stamp from the set, which is the water stamp to me. Okay, and I'm just going to ink it up. And then I'm just going to stamp right under our clouds, right almost to the edge, right about here. And that's going to set down our water. Okay. Then I'm going to add just a little bit more over here, and the lighthouse is going to go right here, so you're not really going to see the seam at all. So I'm actually going to do it a little bit backwards just to fill in a little bit more right here. As a matter of fact, you know what else I'm going to do? I was just thinking of it now. I'm going to add just a little Post-it tape because I don't want it to get in the way of my sand. So I'm just going to do it like this, and then just add a little bit so it goes all the way across. Just a little bit like that. And you can see how that turned out. I think that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to put in my sand next. Now, like I said, it overlapped a little bit, but that's where our lighthouse is going to go. So that's just fine. I'm not worried about that at all. Now I'm going to add the sand. So So I'm going to use crumb cake for that. And then I'm going to use the stamp from that set that kind of looks like the ground to me. So I'm going to ink that up. And I'm just going to set it right along here. Just like that. And again, a little bit more on the other side to go all the way across. And I think that's fine because I've got the color there and that's going to be covered up. Then the other thing, you know what, let me just do a little bit more on the bottom too. I just want a little bit more, almost like another layer of the sand there. Now, one of the other stamps that they have in this set is just these little speckles that look like sand. So I'm just going to add a few sand speckles to my sand right here, just like that. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so just to complete the background now, I'm going to take a little bit of my Mossy Meadow stamp pad. And I don't know what you call those. I don't want to say weeds. They're not weeds, but they're like the little grass. I think they're grasses, like sea grasses, right? Would you say that? And I'm going to put one right over here and stamp that in the Mossy Meadow. And then I'm going to take the little one and put it a little bit more over here. So that's it. That's our background. We're finished with that. And I think that's a really cute background for our lighthouse. Don't you think so? I think that turned out well. Okay, so let's start working on the lighthouse next. So I took the die set and I used this big solid die right here and I cut it out of the ivory. Okay, so that's going to be the base of my lighthouse. But as you can see, I wanted this one to be kind of a brick looking lighthouse. So we're going to do some embossing. So we've already cut the piece. I'm going to pull in my big cut and emboss machine, and we're going to go ahead and emboss. All right. So this is our brick and mortar embossing folder, which is really fun. I use this one a lot because I like the bricks. I want my bricks to go this way, so I'm just going to place it in my folder, just like that for the embossing. I'm going to put it in between my plates. I'm going to make sure that the folded part's going to go through the machine first. So that's my little sandwich is ready to go through. Hopefully I have enough room on my desk to open this big machine. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm just going to send it through this machine. It just embosses. It's so easy. I'm using 2 fingers. It just goes through like butter. It's awesome. And let me get rid of this. And pull it out of the folder. And ta-da, we have bricks. Pretty, right? Beautiful embossing, debossing on the back. So that is the base for our lighthouse. Okay, so I think we can start a little bit of assembly. Before we do that, the last thing I want to do is take my last ink color that I'm going to use, which is Night of Navy, and we're going to stamp our sentiment on. This is also in the set, this little die, so I cut that out. And this little paper is So Saffron cardstock. And we want this one to say, sending you love and light. So that's this right here. I'm going to ink it up in the navy. And then I'm going to move it towards me. I hope you can still see it, but I need to get it centered. As a matter of fact, my stamp looks a little weird, so let me try stamping it. Okay, that looks fine. It's always harder to stamp after you've die cut the piece. But I think we did good. All right, I think we're ready for some assembly. So let's start by putting this with some seal onto the front of the card. Just like that. Then I'm going to, let's finish building the lighthouse before we put it on. So I cut out these pieces. This is a separate die to do the top. So I'm going to glue this on. And then I cut this part off for the bottom because I wanted it to have a little bit of a navy base. So I'm just going to use my Tombow glue and just glue that onto my lighthouse. Hold on, I need to get this started. Okay, a little bit of glue. I'm going to set this right here. Okay, and same thing on this. A little bit on the bottom. And I'm going to set that there. Make sure it's pretty lined up. So the other thing I did was I cut this piece out again, and then I took the middle pieces and I cut it in so saffron. So I've got little pieces that I'm going to place inside here so it looks like a little bit of light coming from the lighthouse. And let me get my Take Your Pick tool. Hold on 1 second, I'm just checking something. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to flip these over and place them right inside. And now it looks like there's a little bit of light coming in through the lighthouse, right? So I like the look of that. Okay, and then the other part of the lighthouse is the railing. I cut this little piece, and it's another little die in the set, out of the silver cardstock, and we're just going to put the railing on. Let's see if I can do this with just the regular glue, just a little bit of the glue. I cannot mess that up. And we'll just put this right about here. And let me just press that down for a minute as soon as I get it placed properly. Okay, now we've got a pretty little railing, right? Okay, so let's pop this up onto our card with some dimensionals. Has anybody been to a lot of lighthouses? When we were kids, my parents used to take us on vacations where, you know, we'd go in the car, and we'd go to the East Coast quite a bit. So there were a lot of lighthouses on the East Coast, which was awesome. Okay. All right, I'm going to put our pop up to our sentiment. I'm just going to put my dimensionals on the side because it's going to kind of like cross over the lighthouse, and I might just put a little bit of seal just so it kind of sticks in the middle a little bit. So we'll put that right across the middle, right about here. And lastly, we just have this little beam of light, and I'm just going to put this down with some seal. I don't think that needs to be popped up, and we'll just put that here. Okay, so that's our first card. I hope you like it. Reminds me of summer, the beautiful ocean, lighthouses, just, I love summer. Okay, on to our next card. Okay, so the next card we're going to do is going to be similar, right? We have a background, and we're going to start by doing that with the card. So what I'm going to use for this background is this Rays of Light stamp set. It's one stamp that comes in the set. So we're going to use that with our Stamparatus. In the meantime, let me get out the pieces for our card and just put those aside. I think I got all the little pieces. Okay, so here's the Stamparatus. And the reason why I'm using this is because it's a really big stamp. And if I don't get it right the first time, I can just restamp until all the color's on properly, right? So I'm going to start with a bigger piece of cardstock, okay? So I'm just going to put this, kind of line it up to the corner, use my magnets to kind of hold it in place on the edges. Make sure that's going to be okay. I think I want it over just a little bit. And then I can cut it down to whatever size I want when I'm finished. Okay, I think that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead, let me put something underneath. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and I'm going to use crushed curry for this. So like I said, this is a really big stamp. So we'll see how we do the first time pressing it down. And move it up just a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. All right, we're just going to flip this over and press it down. I have a little, just a little eraser. I'm just going to use that to kind of make sure I get a nice even pressure on this and just rub it over the top. You don't have to do that. You can do it with your shirt sleeve or your hands. And we'll see how that came out. Okay, so you can see this is kind of what I'm talking about. See how this kind of all missed on this side? So I'm going to go over again with my stamp pad and see, did I miss some ink or did I miss pressing it down? I'm not sure, but everything's in the same place, so I can go over it a second time. So let's try that again and focus more on this side over here. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to call that a day. I'm going to pull that out. Let me get rid of this because I'm going to use the Stamparatus again tonight for something else. So let me just put that aside and put this away. Okay, now I'm going to want to cut this down, and the measurement for this is 5 1/4 by 4. So I just kind of want to see where I want it to be. So I'm just going to start by cutting just this side here. This is going to be our 4-inch side. So I'm going to flip this over and measure it at 4. Okay. And then I'm going to go pretty close to where we started up here. And this will be the 5 1/4. And we'll cut that up there. So now it's the right size for the front of our card. Okay, card base, same thing as before, Night of Navy, same measurements. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to our card base with a little bit of seal, and I want my center to go over up to the right. So just like that. Okay, so what I want to do next is kind of layer on the bottom, and I want to have kind of a sand scene again. So I have my little piece cut right here that's going to go on, and this is 5 1/4, right? And this is 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is just freehand cut it so it looks kind of curvy. And then I'm going to take the crumb cake like we did before and go ahead and add some sand texture to it. So let me close up my pad, get out my crumb cake, and add a little bit of sun. Now this card doesn't have any water in the background, which, okay, it could be kind of, what do you call it, like a bluff or something, where it's almost like sand and then you can't see the water because it's too low. That's kind of what I'm going with here. That's my explanation for why there's no water. Okay, so we've got our sand, and we're going to go ahead and use the Mossy Meadow and add some of those little grasses again. And I've used the little ones just to add in a couple different places on here. So we'll put one there, one here, and one there. Okay. All right, I want to add a rock. So I've got 2 pieces of paper. You can see on this one I did a dark rock, so I did the basic gray with the basic gray stamp, and then I thought, well, I'm going to play with another color, so I did one with smoky slate and smoky slate on it, and I think I like the light color better, so that's what color I'm going to go ahead and use for my rock. So this is my rock stamp that's also in the Lighthouse set, and my smoky slate. And I'm just going to stamp smoky slate on smoky slate. Now I have a rock. And then I'm going to die cut that out. And I've already got one die cut, so let's just use the one that I already have die cut. So we're all set with that. Okay. I've got my pieces of the lighthouse. Now this time I did the solid piece of the lighthouse in red. I kind of like the red, white, and blue. To me, it's just nautical and kind of a nice color for lighthouses. I was kind of looking up some lighthouses online to see what colors they were. And then the second die is the white that's going to go over it like that. So let's build our lighthouse like we did before, and I'm just going to use the same Tombow glue. I have a little piece that needs to be punched out of there. So just a little bit. And we'll put this white layer right on top of the red layer and see if I can get that lined up nicely. Where's my take your pick? I just want to kind of line that up. And press it down. Okay. Oops, I keep getting it crooked. The nice thing about this glue is you can move it around just a little bit because it doesn't dry immediately. I think that's pretty good placement. Again, I did the same thing with the Night in Navy that I did on the last card and did the top and the bottom, so we'll put those on. And the same thing with the little windows. Oh no, now I've got glue on my surface. That's not good. So we've got a layer here. I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom that I did before with the base. You could leave the base white if you like. I just like to have a little bit of another color down there to make it red, white, and blue. Okay, let me just get a baby wipe really quick to wipe off the glue mess that I made. Okay. Very messy. All right, same thing with the So Saffron. I'm just going to add my little light windows to it. Now, you could also do that in vellum, depending on what color background you have going on. Or you could just leave it red if you wanted to. You don't have to put in the yellow. I just think it looks kind of cool. A lot of die cutting with these cards tonight, right? It's funny how every week you're doing a little bit different, right? Not doing any coloring tonight at all, but lots of die cutting. Okay. Lighthouse, where's our railing for the lighthouse? There it is, hiding underneath. Let me glue that in. I think the silver adds just a nice little touch. A little jewelry for the card. Okay. That pretty much is our lighthouse. We're going to take Night of Navy and stamp our sentiment. And this time we're going to do your light shines brighter than you know. So I'll ink that up in the navy. Put it right here. Okay. So then what I did with this sentiment, I could have just left it like it is. I could flag the ends. There's a bunch of things you could do. I decided to cut it out around the kind of around the words, and the reason I did that was because I didn't want it to take up very much room on the page, on the card. So I was just kind of trying to reduce how much room it took up a little bit. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just kind of cut around the word letters, the letters of the words, and that way it takes up a little less space on the page and more of that light kind of shows. So once I get this done, I think we're ready to just assemble the card, which should only take a minute. Just cut off your corner a little. Okay, that's all we're going to do for that. Okay, so we have our card base that we've already worked on. Let's put on our layer of sand. Ugh. And we'll put that right there along the edge. Looks mine might just be a little bit short, but I don't think you can see it that much. Let me see if I can inch it over just a little bit. Okay, I feel like I have blue on my fingers, so let me try and wipe my fingers off so I'm not getting Night of Navy everywhere. All right, let's pop up the lighthouse. Trying to remember if I, when I lived in Chicago, if I saw any lighthouses on Lake Michigan or not. I know there's lots of them there. I just don't remember if I've actually seen any of them. All right, I'm going to move this just over just a little bit, right about there, and that's all popped up. Same thing I'm going to do again with the sentiment right here. So I'm going to pop up just this side of it over here. And then I put a little bit of seal on the side that's going to touch the lighthouse so it gets stuck over there. And we'll put this just kind of here below our sun. That looks good. And let's add our rock just for fun. And we'll put that kind of right behind here. And that's it. That is our second card. It looks like this one came out a lot darker than this one. I probably only had to do this one once, whereas I stamped that one twice. Okay, card number 2, finished. All right, so the next one we're going to use the smaller lighthouse. And so that's 2 stamps and a die for that. And I kind of cased my own card. Like if you guys remember a while back, I did this card when we had the full set of everything. So I just took this card that I did before and I thought I'm just going to do the same thing and just put the lighthouse in without the fence and everything, just switch it up a little bit. But I like the colors and the way the sunset came out. So I kind of cased my own card for that. So the only thing I'm going to add that we haven't used so far, I wanted a little circle for the sun going down, and I found that in the Paradise Palm set. So I just used this little circle stamp. I mean, you could use any circle stamp, or you don't even have to put it if you don't want to. So let's get started on this card. Okay, so on this card, we're going to start with the crumb cake card base this time. Standard card base, half a sheet of cardstock, 8.5, 5.5, scored to 4.25. Then we're just going to do some layers. I have Coastal Cabana, and this is 5.25 by 4. That'll be our first layer. And then I have a little bit of Mango Melody that I'm going to frame out, the scene that we're going to set up. That's 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. And then I'm going to take our basic white cardstock, and I have this cut down to 4.5 by 3 1/4. And this is what we're going to stamp our scene on. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So what I did for I'm going to start with the sky layer. Okay, working from the top to the bottom. And this is our sky layer here. And I'm going to want it to stamp just like this. And the colors I'm going to use for this, I'm going to use Mango Melody. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Calypso Coral. So let me, hold on one second. I need to grab something out of this. I did not pull ahead of time. I need one of my sponge daubers. And this one is my Calypso Coral dauber. All right, so I'm going to start by just inking the whole thing up in Mango Melody for our pretty sunset colors. Then I'm going to take my Calypso Coral and my dauber and just daub the bottom of it to add a little bit of the orange at the bottom of my sunset. So I'm just going to add that on a little darker at the bottom. And then we should get that nice variation in color. So let me put that right at the top and just stamp that down. And there's our sky. And that's a little bit light. I don't know. Do we like it? I feel like there's a little bit of green in there, which is a little weird. Let's flip it over and try that again. Let me get a little bit. I don't know why. You know, I feel like if you can see, maybe there's a little bit of green on my stamp pad. I don't know how that happened. So let me try Stampin' Up this top part and see if that makes a difference. And again, I'm going to add the bottom, and we'll see if this one comes out a little bit different. I wonder how I got that green on my stamp pad. All right, let's try again. See if we like it a little bit better. I feel like the green's coming through again. I can see it. Well, we can pick whichever one we like better. And I think actually I like the other one better, so we're going back to the first one. All right, I'm going to take that circle I was talking about with the Calypso Coral, and I'm just going to stamp that right like that. Okay, next we're going to go to our watercolor again. And I'm going to do that in Coastal Cabana just like before. So here's our water layer. This stamp set is great. It's so nice because you're just stamping the layers one after another. Pardon if I'm getting my head in the picture. I just want to be able to get that lined up pretty good. So there's our water layer. We're going to do a sand layer again like we did before. So I'm getting the crumb cake back. And I'm going to put this way. And on this one, I added 2 layers again for this to make it come down just a little bit more towards the bottom. Okay, and then I used the little sand stamp again to kind of fill in some of the sand at the bottom. Okay, just like that. All right, let's add some of those grasses again, because I think those look pretty nice on there. Again, using the Mossy Meadow. Okay, and I think our background is pretty much done. So I'm going to take the Night of Navy again for my sentiment again this time. Let me get this out of the way. Put our layers over here. We're going to use this for our lighthouse. Here's our little piece that we're going to do So Much Thanks on. And hold on a second. I'm trying to see where is that stamp. Let me see if I pulled that one. I did not. Here it is. All right. That's going to be a Night of Navy. And I'm going to stamp it kind of over to the side here. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to flag this at the end here. And I have my Pick-a-Punch tool. So I'm just going to slide that in and just make a little banner on this side with it. Okay. All right, and I think that's good. We're going to cut that off later. So the last thing we have to do is our lighthouse, and we're going to stamp that. I'm going to use the Stamparatus for that again because I'm lining up 2 different stamps, and it just helps me to do that. It's easier for me. Let me put the mat down for this because this is going to be a photopolymer stamp. So it's not as thick as the red stamps, right? So let me just secure my piece right here. Okay, and I'm going to do this side first, and then I'll do the background, okay? So I'm just going to line it up where I want it on my paper, and we're just going to cut this out so it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So I'm going to lift that up, and I'm going to use soft suede for the stripes. So I'm going to ink this up. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just inking up the soft suede. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that on my sheet. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'm going to take my next layer, and it's easier, see, I can see where the stripes are going to be, and I can line this up perfectly just where I want it. And I think that's pretty much where I want that to land. So I'm going to pull off the other stamp that I just used, and I'm going to take my baby wipe and just wipe this off right here. All right, and I'll let that dry off for a second. Let me get another baby wipe while that's drying, just to have handy, because I'm so messy. Okay. See if that's dry yet. Okay. And I'm going to pick up my stamp that way. So it's going to come back to the right spot. And we'll use soft suede on this one. Good. I like the way that looks. All right. I'm going to put that there so it doesn't mess up. Okay, let's cut this out, and then we are ready to assemble this card. So I'm going to use my mini machine for this one as I die cut it out. This is the die that goes with it. I'm just going to line it up, and I'm going to use a little bit of Post-it tape just to hold it in place as I set it through my machine. So I've got my plates, my die, my top plate, and I'm just going to send this through. And I think we have all our pieces ready. See how beautifully they cut that out? I love dies. I love die cutting. I do a lot of die cutting. All right, so we have another lighthouse, a little one this time. All right, so this is just a matter of putting down layers, right? So we'll take our coastal cabana. Layer number 1. See if we can get that centered. Okay, then our mango melody. Great. Then we'll do our little scene. This actually dried okay too on the back. I guess we could have used either side really. I'm gonna have to figure out how to clean off my stamp pad to get that green out of there. Okay, let's pop up the lighthouse. I'm just gonna use a couple dimensionals for that. And we'll put this just in the perfect spot, I think right about here. And then we're going to do the So Much Thanks at the bottom. And I'm going to have that come, I think actually my lighthouse is a little bit, I'm going to see if I can lift that and move it up just a little bit. Because I feel like it's a little bit low. Move that up just a little. And I want this to come right to about here. So I'm going to cut it off right about here where I want it to end by the coastal cabana. Okay, so I'm going to just put some dimensionals on the bottom, and I feel like I want to cut them in half because some of that card is already popped up. So let me just put a couple on the bottom. Make sure this is the bottom, okay. And then I'll put a little bit of seal on the top, like that. And I think that'll help adhere it really well. Okay. Okay, great. So the last thing I want to do is just use a little bit of linen thread and just tie a little bow. So we'll just grab that, do a quick bow, and I'll attach that with a glue dot. and then that card will be finished. All right. Okay, that's it. Whoops, my thing is coming off. I think I need another dimensional under here. See if I can slide one on. I think I'm going to use a mini because it looks kind of skinny up there. Let me take both sides off of this and see if I can just slide it underneath because I don't want that top part sticking up. Right there. Okay. All right. Our third card. We did our third card already. Oh, you know what I forgot is the birds. So the next set we're going to use is the Let's Set Sail to do the sailboat, and I grabbed the birds from there. So I'm just going to take these birds really quick, and I'll use a little bit of Memento Black and just add a couple birds to the sunset because I think that really adds something. And we'll just put those right about here. Okay, now it's complete. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is use that box that I was telling you about that was free from a celebration purchase. And we're going to decorate this. This will only take a minute to decorate this cute little box. These boxes are very nice. They have the nice acetate window in them already. They're already pre-scored, so we're just going to be folding. The adhesive is already on it, so that's really nice. So we're going to decorate it this way. I'm just going to stamp one thing on the box before we assemble it, and then we'll add all our other pieces to it. And I just added a little bit of water because we're going to put a little sailboat down here. So I just used the Coastal Cabana again. And one of the stamps that's in this set is this kind of watery looking one, right? So let me get a nice long stamp block. You don't have to add that part if you don't want to. And I'm going to add just a little bit of Post-it tape because I want my line under here to be clean and not go over the edge. I was thinking about this earlier that it's kind of like using painter's tape when you paint a room, right? It doesn't damage anything. It peels right off when you're done painting. So I'm just going to add, you know what? Hold on. I want more Post-it tape on the other side. Right like that. Okay. And let me just add our little bit of fake water here. Okay. And just pull this off, doesn't damage anything. And let's assemble our box next. So I'm just going to go ahead and score. They're already scored. I'm just going to fold all these sides. And let me get my bone folder. Just make nice creases on everything. Checking my fingers to see if I have ink on them. I have a tendency to do that. I like boxes that are kind of pre-made. You don't have to do the measuring, you don't have to do the cutting. It's just super simple. This is a nice size box. It's kind of big and it holds a lot of stuff. Last week when we used it with the birds, we put a couple of the honey buns from Little Debbie in there, which fit perfectly. This week I was thinking I wanted some saltwater taffy in this box because it's kind of a summery, oceany thing, and that just reminds me, you know, we used to go to Lake Geneva on the weekends with my dad when we were younger and sail on his sailboat, and they have all those cute little shops, and you'd go in and get saltwater taffy and fudge, and you know, that's just one more thing that reminds me of summer, which is super fun. All right, I'm ready to start taking off these little tape tabs. So I'm just going to peel these off, and then we can just, there's 6 of them on here. Anybody else like saltwater taffy? Fudge, caramel apples, they had all that good stuff in those stores up there. You could get ice cream, all the fun stuff of summer. Although yesterday we were watching a little bit of preseason football, and then I was starting to crave some of the fall foods already. I thought, oh, I can't wait till it's time for chili again. Okay, so these I'm just folding in like this. And this is now the bottom of our box that's set up. And the lid is super easy too. We're just gonna fold this side in and this side in. And then that's it, our box is complete. Ready? We're gonna close it up, but first let me put some of that saltwater taffy in it. I think that's really fun. And we'll just, look how colorful that is. All right, we'll just set that down and go ahead and close up our box. And now we have a nice little treat for somebody, and we're ready to start decorating the box. Okay, so we're gonna do a lighthouse again, and I did another striped lighthouse with the red and navy and white. So here are our pieces already die cut. Get out all the little ones too, because we'll be using those. Okay, I think that's, oops, one more little piece of the light window. All right, let us assemble our last lighthouse. A little bit of glue. Whoa, or a lot of glue. You guys can see how terrible I am with glue. That's why I never use it. But it works perfectly for layering the lighthouses, so I have to use it. I have no choice. Okay, that looks good. This time I did the red for the top and the bottom, and this is real red cardstock. We'll line that up again. Whoops. You can see I'm getting glue all over my fingers now. The bottom again, like we did before. And then our little windows. And then we'll do our railing. We did 4 lighthouses tonight. That's a lot, especially considering how many pieces go with each one, right? Uh-oh, I think I just dropped one of my little yellow pieces. Good luck finding that, right? But I always cut extra just in case, because I feel like I have a tendency to kind of lose the smaller pieces. Get some of that glue off of there. Okay, and the railing. So for our sentiment this time, there's 2 dies that layer in this set. So I just cut those out, the bigger one in Night of Navy and the smaller one in, let me get this lined up, and the smaller one in white. And then I'm just gonna stamp again the So Much Thanks in Night of Navy. Okay. I feel like this glue doesn't want to come off my fingers either once I get it on there. So here's our thanks, our So Much Thanks, our Night of Navy. Now the other thing we're going to do is add a sailboat, and that's from that stamp set that I just showed you. All right, So Much Thanks. All right, now I really did it with my ink fingers. So while I have this out, let's take our sailboat stamp. And this is in this set right here, Let's Set Sail. And I'm just going to use this little stamp for the mast and the base of the sailboat. So let me pick that up and do that in Night of Navy. And I just have this like 3x3 piece of cardstock that I'm just going to stamp this on. And then I like white sails on a sailboat because I feel like most sailboat sails are white. So if I use my sailboat punch, it's going to cut out my sails. I'm just going to line this up, and I know this is too big the way I have it. I didn't quite stamp that in the right spot. Can you guys see my inky fingers? Oh my goodness, what a mess I'm making. All right, so let me cut off because I need to be able to get this in here so that it punches properly. And you can see I'm kind of lining it up here so I can punch it out. And I think that looks pretty good. And then when I punch it, it punched also 2 white sails for me, so that's perfect. So now I have my sailboat all ready to go. And I think now we're ready to start assembling our box. And we're just going to add all these elements. I'm going to start by popping up our lighthouse, just like we've done in the past. We'll add this right here. I'm going to do my little ray of light coming from the lighthouse. Right like that. We'll do our sentiment layers. So white on top of the navy. This is kind of a long video. Sorry about that, guys. It's a lot of assembly and die cutting and a lot of working pieces this week to these cards. We'll put our sentiment up in the corner, our little thank you for our thank you box. We're going to just put our sailboat on now, and we'll use a little bit of glue that we've been using to put the mast on first. And then we'll add our sails to the sailboat. So our boat right about here. We'll put our jib sail right here in the front of the boat. Oops, let me hold that down for a second. Okay, and our other sail, our main sail, is going to go over here. Now, what I added to this little box too was I had a little heart. Let's see if I have one left. I do, and it's just a leftover that I had that I cut out from a different class. You could not add it, you could add it, you could add a star, you could add anything that you want. If you wanted to add something to the sail. I just added this little heart because I thought it was cute. And then I've got another rock that I stamped and die cut, and this one is in a little bit darker color, so I'm just going to put that right there. And then we'll just add, I did a double bow of the linen thread, and then I think we're going to be finished with this little box. So let's just tie our double bow. Almost. Good. We'll just tighten that up a little bit. And then snip off the ends. Good. And we'll put that on with a glue dot. I'm going to put that one right there. And that is it. That is our little gift box that we have to give to somebody with our little saltwater taffy in it, which I think is really fun. All right, so let me just quickly bring back what we've done today and show you the cards and projects that we made. We did our first card, the Sending You Love and Light. We did this one, Your Light Shines Brighter Than You Know. Then we did our little Sunset Lighthouse card. And then we did our saltwater taffy box. I hope you liked the projects tonight. I thank you so much for watching. Let me show you what I've got coming up next. If you would like the project sheet for this, just email me at sunshineandsparklestamping@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send this to you. It just shows you all the products that we used tonight and all of the different measurements that I had. So if you'd like that, let me know. If you would like the make and takes this week, you just have to place your order of $35 more with me by Saturday the 27th, and I'll send you the make and takes free. Everything that we used tonight, I can't stamp any images, so you need the stamp set. I will send to you for free with the host code that's listed right here, and this will be in the links on the YouTube channel and my Facebook business page. if you want to do that. If you bump your order up to $50, don't forget you get a free celebration item, so you could get a pack of 10 of these gift boxes if you wanted to. Lastly, I just want to give you a sneak peek of next week's cards. And next week I want to use the geranium set. And I'll just have these really pretty summery cards. Still can't get away from summer, loving the summer. But here are some pretty geranium cards that we're going to make next week. So I hope you can join me then. And thank you so much for watching. I wish everybody a nice, happy, long Labor Day weekend. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.